Look at Orlando, Florida this morning. Central Florida and northeastern Florida is now where Tropical Storm Ian is positioned and continues to produce flooding, in some areas catastrophic. So this storm is not over, and a lot of warnings coming from state officials that the amounts of water could be extremely dangerous from this tropical storm. Of course, downgraded to a tropical storm this morning, but it's expected to regain strength as it crosses the Florida Peninsula and into the Atlantic Ocean, threatening Georgia and the Carolinas next. States of emergency have already been declared up and down the southeast coast, from Virginia to Georgia. Joining us now, Acting Deputy Director at NOAA's National Hurricane Center, Michael Brennan. Thank you very much for joining us. So first of all, tell us where exactly the storm is now, where it's headed, and what is the potential for it regaining strength?
Well, right now, the center of the storm is just east of Cape Canaveral, but really all of the hazardous weather is north of the center. You can see this huge shield of rain on the radar here that's affecting areas from Daytona Beach up to Jacksonville, essentially all of northeast Florida. We have flash flood emergencies in effect for Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach, and these are also areas that are getting those sustained tropical storm force winds. We've seen wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour this morning in Daytona Beach, and we're seeing that storm surge inundation happening along the coast as well. Of coast of northeast Florida now, with water into places like downtown St. Augustine, pushing up into areas like Jacksonville Beach. So the forecast for Ian is for the center to move out over the Atlantic and then turn northward, expected to make another landfall tomorrow in South Carolina. And we do expect Ian to re-strengthen. It's expected to be at or near hurricane intensity as it does reach the coast tomorrow, when you have that hurricane watch in effect from northeast Florida all the way up to South Carolina.
Michael, we've seen the devastation continuing this morning as it hovers over central Florida, as you say. Looking ahead a little bit around the corner, what can coastal South Carolina, coastal Georgia expect as we move into Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, well, we're going to see those winds start to move on shore into the coastal areas even as soon as later today and this evening. But the worst conditions are going to occur with the storm surge inundation. We have a storm surge warning in effect from northeast Florida all the way up to past Charleston, South Carolina. We could see 4 to 6 feet of inundation above ground level. So that's as tall as I am along coastal places like Charleston, Savannah, up into northeast Florida. And then we're going to be dealing with not just the wind, but the heavy rainfall. And we could see rainfall totals of as high as 12 inches in places like Charleston, South Carolina, 6 to 8 inches across southern North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina. So we have this risk of flash flooding here, especially in this red area, which encompasses most of South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, western North Carolina. That's especially going to be the focus for the heavy rainfall on Saturday, with a broader risk of flash flooding across from eastern Georgia all the way up into Virginia.
Michael, that's an extraordinary amount of water that could be coming there.
Yeah.
It is that time of year, though, where the one hurricane arrives, you always got to peek over your shoulder to see if another one's coming. Do you have any sense the forecast in the Atlantic, should any parts of the United States or some of the islands that were also hit by Ian, should they be worried about another storm?
Well, we don't have any imminent threats that we see now for the next several days. But that being said, really the peak of hurricane season lasts well into October, especially for the western part of the Atlantic basin, the Caribbean, the United States. So it's certainly too early to let anybody's guard down. And we certainly could have the potential for more storms to impact us as we go through the next month or two.
Acting Deputy Director at NOAA's National Hurricane Center, Michael Brennan, thank you very much.